Your Royal Highnesses, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my brothers and sisters of the Arewa origin. I thank the Arewa House for really giving me this platform to speak to such a very distinguished audience. I particularly want to thank all those who are present here today and who have been suffering the heat. Your love for northern Nigeria is evident in that you have left your regular pursuits to be here and to interact with us on issues that are germane to the progress of the nation and indeed to the entire nation. Really, your presence here inspires me quite a lot. I am immensely grateful to the management of Arewa House for providing a platform to outline the contours of my development agenda for our great nation. As I aspire to govern Nigeria with your support, inshallah, I find it necessary to unveil a policy document which encapsulates my vision for a united, prosperous society in which all citizens can realize their full potentials in a secure and decent environment. It sets out my policy priorities and my strategies for dealing with Nigeria's complex challenges. It is my hope that all those who aspire to govern Nigeria will be given the same platform to unveil their policy priorities and programs. As we go to the polls in February 2023, there can be no better opportunity for the public to interrogate our ideas and strategies to deal with a plethora of local and national issues from the mundane to the most complex, particularly those issues that have important weight on the future of northern Nigeria. I hereby present myself for that interrogation. You can interrogate me today. However, I would like to caution that northern Nigeria's current social and economic challenges call for sober reflection. The partisan politicking, irrespective of our political differences, it should be our collective desire to see northern Nigeria fulfill our potentials in the not too distant future. I can't wait. We must build consensus on one goal. Northern Nigeria must have its prosperity restored. It must re-emerge as a vibrant, prosperous, and self-reliant economy, operating in a peaceful, secure, and disciplined environment. Anything other than this goal cannot be an option for us in northern Nigeria. This way we share the dream of our leader and foremost nationalist, Sir Ahmadu Bello, Mr. Brono of Sokoto, and Premier of Northern Region. In announcing his 6-year development plan for the region, he noted the need for northern Nigeria, and I quote, to catch up quickly with even the most economically and socially developed countries in the world. And I quote, that was Ahmadu Bello. He had a vision to transform the region into the largest economy and the hub of investment and commercial activity in Western Sudan, a region whose development would be anchored on its resources and the resourcefulness of its people. He enjoined on several occasions our businessmen to embrace modern industrial pursuits and revive that spirit of adventurous entrepreneurship which made medieval pre-colonial northern Nigeria a great region. He envisioned a northern Nigeria that would attract investors, merchants, scholars from all corners of the globe. Northern Nigeria can realize beyond the dreams of its founding father. It requires strong commitment, initiatives, and discernible shift from the mistakes of the past to lift Northern Nigeria from the abyss to the top of a honey-coated mountain. It requires that we articulate and implement a transformation agenda with specific policies and programs to address the challenges of underdevelopment. Having come this far, so you may ask, so what is Atiku Abubakar's development agenda for Nigeria and Northern Nigeria in particular? My development agenda seeks the political and economic transformation of Nigeria into a united, secure, and prosperous country in which all citizens can live a happy, healthy, and productive life. Economic prosperity is an integral part of this agenda that has 5 elements. 1, to restore Nigeria's unity. 2, to strengthen national security. 3, to build a dynamic economy for prosperity. And improve education delivery, and then also devolve more powers to the states and the local governments. Indeed, economic prosperity is the thread that runs through the other critical elements of the agenda. All of them, all the 5, what runs through them is economic prosperity. All 5 elements of our development agenda are closely linked and influence one another in a dynamic manner. The dream of building a prosperous economy will remain a mirage without unity, without peace and security. Can we achieve economic miracle without all this? No. Indeed, security is key to creating and sustaining an enabling environment for economic growth. Creating economic opportunities for Nigerians will represent significant implications for social cohesion, unity, and national security. Increased jobs and income opportunities will reduce the likelihood of our youth being involved in crime, violence, and conflict motivated by manipulating religious or ethnic differences. Finally, a sound education system is needed to provide the citizens with the appropriate skills and competencies to explore available economic opportunities so that they can prosper. So you may quite rightly ask me again, what will your 5-point development agenda do to support the North? As is often asked, what is it? Is it there for the North? My 5-point development agenda is a national agenda, but with local touch. It is drawn up after careful reflection on key historical and contemporary events, which have helped in defining where we are today. My agenda identifies where we are today and envisions where we want to be as a nation and outlines how we will get there. It's just not mere rhetoric. While the agenda is nationalist in outlook, it recognizes the desire of the federating units to chart a course of their social and economic development, but within a national framework. It does also recognize that the federating units' development prospects depend largely on the political and economic dynamics of the Nigerian economy. At all times, a strong and healthy Nigerian economy with a stable macroeconomic environment will be a pertinent factor in their development. Above all, the implementation of the agenda will require collaborative engagements with the states and local governments and across a broad range of private and public stakeholders and a range of state actors at both federal and state levels. I shall outline briefly top 15 global economies. It's doable, it's possible, with your support, we can do it. To restore its prosperity, the North must grow its economy. The North must grow its economy. Over the years, the region has suffered deindustrialization and long-term social and economic decline. Several years of inadequate protection have robbed agriculture of its capacity to support a modern, fast-growing economy in northern Nigeria. The combined GDP of the 19 northern states comes up to about 108 billion USD only. On per capita basis, this is less than $1,000. On the other hand, Lagos State only, with a population of approximately 15 million people, that is 12.5% of northern Nigeria's population, has an estimated GDP of 46 billion US. Not only is the northern economy small, but it's also structurally important for the economy to grow and create jobs. To build the economy of our dream, we must increase the stock and improve the quality of our infrastructure. Inadequate infrastructure has been identified as the most problematic factor for doing business in Nigeria. I'm told I have only 3 minutes left. Another thread that is running through this 5-point program is focusing on agriculture. You know, in the First Republic, it was the mainstay of our economy. Why should we abandon it? We abandon it simply because of the emergence of revenue from oil. Those of you who are of my own generation know that we were not educated by oil money. Absolutely not. Those of my own generation and those older than I am, we were educated by revenue derived from agriculture and taxation. So what can we do to make sure that we wean ourselves from dependence on oil? So agriculture, again here, is one top priority. I intend to make sure the North receives the greatest support so that we can reinvent our agriculture. The fourth is stimulating medium, small enterprises. Medium, small enterprises are what provides prosperity and employment to the lower and middle income people in our country. I can give you an example which I have always given. I have a micro-standard finance bank, which is today one of the best in the country. And it empowers virtually only women. And as a result of that, we have moved 45,000 families out of poverty in my state to a state of prosperity. But all of them women. So that is why I propose that we will set aside 10 billion USD to promote small medium enterprises for our young entrepreneurs who leave school so that they can start up their own businesses. And there is one thing very, very important, and that is making sure that entrepreneurship is part of our curriculum. If you have attended my university in Yola, whether you are studying law or engineering or political science, you must find that you must study entrepreneurship. It's a compulsory subject. This is because we want you, when you come out, you don't have to look for a job. When you come out, we want you to create jobs for yourself and for others. So this is another thread in my 5-point program. And of course, once you are able to move out hundreds of thousands of people from poverty, you can be rest assured that you are making progress. And then, of course, finally, or before finally, is the issue of restructuring or devolving more powers to the states and the local governments. When about 2004, when I started advocating for restructuring, I had a very, very, very strong opposition from the north. Very strong. Today, thank God, the northern governors themselves and northern people themselves have bought into restructuring. What does it mean? It all simply means giving our states more powers, responsibilities, and also more funding to execute their own individual programs in their respective states. Simple. It doesn't mean you are going to get less from what you are going to get or what you are getting, but it simply means that you have more responsibility as far as governance is concerned. And then, of course, the last but not the least is the repositioning of our educational system. In the old northern Nigeria, there was no dropout. There was no dropout. Those of you who are as old as myself or older than me can testify. No dropout. You see, the first set, you go to government college, either Zaria or Kefi, or then secondary technical, this Kaduna Polytechnic. The second, you go to provincial secondary schools. The third, you go to the craft schools. In the craft schools, that is what have become polytechnic. You learn your city and guilds. The fourth, you go to the farm centers. In the farm centers, you are trained either in animal husbandry or some form of trade. So that by the time you leave the center, you are given a capital. So Ahmadu Bello used to approve, capital for them. So at the end of the day, no dropout. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, education is the last thread. And I am passionate about it. That's why I have an educational, what I call, from cradle to grave. I have a kindergarten, I have a nursery, I have a secondary, I have a primary, I have a secondary, I have a university, all located in one location. So you can start as a baby until you get your PhD, and then you teach in the same university, you retire there, you die there, and you are buried there. So that's what we call from cradle to grave. So for me, education is fundamental, is non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. So So, my fellow brothers and sisters of the Arewa community, I am an optimist. I believe we can unite and do it together and propel northern Nigeria or northern states to a higher level of prosperity, peace, security, and unity. I want to thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and I can now have the privilege to answer your questions.